As John Cena turns to the dark side in the world of wrestling, today I want to take a look at some of the best heel turns in gaming. A heel turn is essentially a good guy turning bad, and there are plenty of examples of that in games. Most of those characters always had ulterior motives to begin with, but we just didn't see it coming. Of course, spoilers ahead for a number of games. I'll avoid games where you're given more of a choice of your path to being a hero or a villain, and focus on narratives where the results are usually the same. Let's start with one of the most iconic turns in all of gaming, GTA San Andreas' Big Smoke. One of CJ's best friends turned bitter enemy towards the end of the game as Big Smoke betrays the gang for money and fame, a choice that ultimately leads to his demise. Big Smoke is a memorable villain for many reasons, not only just his betrayal, but also due to some of the game's more comedic moments, so it becomes all the more shocking when the turn actually happens.
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit here and talk about one of my favourite villains in gaming, and that is Albert Wesker from Resident Evil. He's a character who, like I said in the intro, always had an ulterior motive. For those that have only passing knowledge of Resident Evil, may not know that he started off as the Alpha Team captain of STARS, which are the main group of heroes in the universe. It's not until later on that we realise that he's been playing us all along, essentially. Albert Wesker has always been such a fun villain, and his turn adds an extra bit of depth to his already entertaining character, especially for those that read the SD Perry Resident Evil books, where they go deeper into what he was up to during the time in the first game. Now, I want to move over to the main character of a game, and that is in the world of Prototype, where we play as Alex Mercer, a man without his memory waking up in a virus-stricken New York City, with powers that allow him to consume and absorb people and shapeshift his body into deadly weapons. Throughout the game, his goal is to basically find out who was responsible for releasing the virus into the world. Things do, however, take a turn for Mercer, and the first game reveals that he is the virus himself, possessing the body of the original Alex Mercer, who was the man behind the release of the virus in the city. Between Prototype 1 and 2, he slowly begins to despise and turn on humanity, leading to his villainous role in the second game, and ultimately his demise at the hands of James Heller. The Prototype games are some of the more underrated titles around. I highly recommend giving them a chance if you have not already. Next up, we've got a slightly less conventional one. Shadow of the Colossus features one of the more strange cases of a hero becoming a villain, if at first unknowingly. You spend the entire game playing as a character called Wanda, travelling across the Forbidden Lands to save a girl named Mono by killing the 16 Colossi. As you progress in your journey, you start to have this weird feeling in the back of your mind that maybe killing these creatures isn't such a good idea after all. But you have little choice but to continue on like the little murderer that you really are. Without spoiling much further, the game really hammers home how bad your actions throughout the game really were, and that you may in fact live to regret them. It's an interesting take on playing a villainous role, where you don't really realise how far down the hole you've travelled until you hit rock bottom, which is why Shadow of the Colossus is still considered one of the greatest games of all time, and another game I recommend. Final villainous turn I really want to talk about comes from one of the greatest video game franchises of all time, and from the mind of one of the best gaming directors ever, that being Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid series. While the series has seen multiple iconic main characters, one of the most recognisable protagonists in the series is Big Boss, or as he was once referred to as, Naked Snake. Big Boss was the main character of multiple games in the series, as well as being the main villain in the original Metal Gear games. He's portrayed as a complex character, and it's not until later on that we see why he went from Special Forces agent to mercenary leader with a dream of creating a nation for soldiers. His goals take a clear shift after the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, and while not outwardly villainous in his protagonist roles, some of the choices he makes can be considered questionable, such as enabling the training as child soldiers, and aspirations of world dominance. One of his bigger moments of villainy comes in the form of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, where the game essentially makes us believe that we've been playing as Big Boss the whole time, before revealing that we're actually playing as a loyal, brainwashed former medic and mercenary who has been manipulated in becoming a body double for the real Big Boss under the name Venom Snake, while he's out in the world carrying out his secret plans. The Metal Gear games have always been quite convoluted and are always complex stories, but it does tell a tale about war and consequences, and there may be no bigger victim than the father of Solid Snake himself, Big Boss. So those were just 5 examples of video game heel turns, some of which we saw coming, others a complete surprise. What is your favourite hero turned villain in gaming? Are there any big names that you think I've missed off the list? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.